Just like that, we are back, ladies and gentlemen. It's just Brian and Jack today. Matt's out on a bachelor trip. We hope he's having a great time, a safe time. It's NFL Draft Day. We'll go over who the Jags are going to pick, who Jags hope the Jags will pick. We'll go over the Giants picks, and then we'll have Will on, our editor Will, to discuss the Eagles draft. Also have some NBA playoffs, NHL playoffs going on. Got to react to that. And it's all brought to you by SeatGeek. We finally made it through winter. Spring is here, summer is coming, and the best place to get tickets to all the baseball games, all your summer concerts, or anything else is SeatGeek. SeatGeek is the official sponsor of Views from Section 400. First-time purchasers can use our code ViewsFrom400 at checkout for $20 off any tickets, whether you're going to a baseball game, watching the Mets, watching the Phillies, you want to see a country concert on a lawn, and wherever venue you want to go to. SeatGeek is the place to go. Super easy to get any ticket. They have a one-of-a-kind system, shows you the best deal for your buck, and the best part, you get $20 off your first purchase with code ViewsFrom400 at checkout. We love SeatGeek. Thank you to them again. And here's the rest of the show. If you want to go to any NBA playoff games, it's heating up. Use our code. It's $20 off. Gets you pretty much a beer at every stadium, I think.
Hopefully, I would hope so. $20. It's got to get you a beer.
I would hope so. I think so. The domestics, at least.
Stop it. It's got to get you the imports as well. I mean, it's got to.
Well, either way, use the code. We do have NBA playoffs going on. We have a couple series that look like they may be over. At least this first one, I think we can both say is over. The Grizzlies, again, got destroyed by the Thunder.
Yeah, the Thunder are destroying teams. It's not fun to watch. I don't remember who I saw. Somebody tweeted that watching the Thunder playoff games is the worst playoff games in recent memory, which could be true. I mean, we're talking about a 50-point blowout in game one. I mean, as good as they are, there's no competitiveness in these games. Ja, Zach Edey, Desmond Bain, these guys are great, but they're not getting it done.
Yeah, I still think Ja's good enough to get him one, and it's going to have to happen at home. But just this series in a microcosm, Ja Morant started this game 0 for 6 in game 2, and his seventh shot, he tried to do like a wraparound layup, classic Ja Morant athleticism, and he hit the side of the backboard. And that just perfectly describes what is happening to the Memphis Grizzlies right now.
Yeah, there are a couple series that are 2-0 right now where I could see, we're going back to the other team's home court now. I could see the other team pulling out their first win in game 3 or game 4. I don't think it's happening with the Grizzlies. I think they get swept.
I could also see the sweep. Jaren Jackson Jr. came back a little bit, had a good game after I think he made 1-3 in game 1, and he was out of bounds. So they took the 3 back. But yeah, no, the Thunder look good. They look prime to actually make it to the finals this year. And once again, I think my future bet's going to be a year too early on the Thunder to win it all. The other series.
It's the problem with the young teams right now.
Yeah, the other series that's 2-0, another young team, not as young as the Thunder, but the Pacers are up 2-0 on the Bucks. And Damian Lillard came back. He played 36 minutes. Doc Rivers does not care about blood clots, but they couldn't get it done.
Yeah, no, he played the first 10 minutes of the game. It was just dumb. It was just very poor coaching by Doc Rivers. I tweeted after the game. I was like, it's unbelievable how Doc Rivers keeps getting these opportunities. He's got one title to his name. It was with the first, the first real legitimate super team between Rondo, who else? Kevin Garnett, Paul Pierce, Ray Allen. They were insane, those Celtics, and
Brandon Bass.
It's the only time that Doc's gotten himself a ring. He failed with the Clippers when he had Dunk City, Chris Paul, BG. He failed with countless teams, Sixers and Embiid. He's doing it right here, right now. He failed with the Suns, KD and Booker. I mean, it's unbelievable how he still is just getting these opportunities.
Yeah, and reports are starting to come out that Giannis may be getting sick with Milwaukee. It's a shame because like last year we couldn't really get this team right because Giannis was hurt all year, and now Dame's hurt and he doesn't look right. I mean, he hit a Dame time 3. They were out of time. It didn't really matter, but it was like a logo 3. I don't know. I want them to be good. I think in my playoff bracket I had them at least winning this series, maybe going to the Eastern Conference Finals, just because you see, Dame's coming back. Maybe he can do it again. But Doc Rivers,
Yeah, Doc Rivers, and honestly, it's the fact that you said it. Like, they haven't been healthy enough, playing enough games together on the court, the chemistry. And it's a super big part of that is the fact that Chris Middleton's no longer there. Like I said, Chris Middleton, merchant to that NBA Finals, that NBA championship a couple years ago, he was the glue guy, and they got rid of the glue guy, and now it's all melting away.
And he's melting away in Washington. The one thing I wish I would have done in this game is, of course, we had the NBA player poll thing they do every year where Tyrese Halliburton got called the most overrated player in the league. I guarantee you 12 of those votes came from the Milwaukee bench. These two teams hate each other, and they've been chirping all series. So I should have seen a Tyrese Halliburton statement game coming. He goes 21, 12, and 5. He's chirping Dame the whole time. It's just
he had an awesome play where, and I was thinking about that the entire time watching this game. He had an awesome play. I think he pump faked, drove down the lane, crashed in and dunked, and then was just screaming at the ball as it's like just dribbling itself on the ground after he dunks it through the hoop, screaming at it. He clearly is super pumped up. He's heard everybody say he's overrated. It's not like that comes out and you don't hear about it. He took it out on the ball right there. It was awesome, letting the whole league know.
Yeah, and I really like Halliburton. I think all the hate, I don't know, maybe it's just because I love international basketball, but since he's been on those Team USA teams, a lot of players probably feel snubbed, and he likes to talk trash. And I think he talks when he's winning, which might rub some people.
He does talk when he's winning. He's definitely, to be fair, one of the least deserving players like that was on that men's basketball, that U.S. Olympic team that just won gold. There are definitely other players I would have chosen over him to be on there, but can't doubt what he did. Look, he went out there, he practiced hard every day. I can't exactly remember what he did in the games, if he really even played, but he was a great teammate, and no one can take that away from him.
Yeah, he was off the bench, clapping every chance he could get, unlike Tatum and Embiid, who were really just whining when they weren't playing. But right. Tyrese in the FIBA World Cup, where Team USA got 4th, was probably their best player. So I think that's what kind of got Grant Hill to put him on the roster there. But yeah, Pacers up 2-0. I want to say the Bucks still have a shot until they lose at home.
They do. Okay. They do. The door's not shut because they haven't lost at home yet. It's another story. If they were down 0-2 at home and now this is going to Indiana, yeah, the door is shut. You're not winning this series, but there's still a chance, man. There's still a chance. I'm pretty out on them. I really like the way the Pacers are playing basketball. Very complimentary, very team-heavy basketball. Siakam, Halliburton, Miles Turner, they're just getting it done right now. I'm very impressed with how they're playing.
They remind me a lot of the Raptors when they won it, minus Kawhi. It's just they have so many good players, not really that great players.
Siakam's there. He's the one common factor.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense. But, I mean, they have, you have Nembhard, you have Naismith, Miles Turner, just a bunch of guys that can give you 12. Benedict Mathurin, just so many. TJ McConnell, there's so many guys there.
Yeah, dude. Shout out to TJ McConnell. But no, Nembhard, I got to give a lot of credit to. I shouldn't have left him out when I was naming, Hallie and Siakam. He's been there every step of the way. Very impressive basketball player. He went to UConn, right?
Zaga.
Oh, that's what it was. Similar colors. My bad.
Yeah, you might be thinking of Napier. Very similar players.
Shabazz Napier?
Yeah.
Maybe that is who I'm thinking of.
But some other games we had since the last time we recorded, we have even series in the Lakers, Timberwolves, and the Pistons and Knicks.
I expected the Lakers to tie this one up after losing game 1 to Anthony Edwards and the Wolves. And they handled the whole game. I mean, the Wolves fought back at different points, made it a little bit competitive at points, but they handled the game. And LeBron closed it in emphatic fashion with that steal on him, on Ed Edwards, the steal and the flush. So impressed with LeBron, A-Reeves, Luka, especially Luka. The way that they handled that game. I did not see the Knicks losing to the Pistons, though.
No, that one was crazy. And before we get to that, I will say, not to kick our guy Matt while he's down, but Anthony Edwards looked a little tired at the end of that game. He kind of disappeared in the fourth quarter while LeBron picked his pocket and kind of ended that game. But the story was Luka pretty much getting the switch on Gobert whenever he wanted, and then all of Crypto.com Arena, I hate that it's called that now, was just going crazy every time he got that switch, and he cooked him every time.
Well, it wasn't just you're absolutely right about that, and that was the main point here. But I also want to say that Austin Reeves was picking on Gobert too. I mean, Gobert is always winning depoy. He's always in the conversation. Teams are taking him out to the perimeter. You think you can guard these guys? You can't. Sorry. He doesn't deserve these depoys. I personally have never been a Rudy Gobert fan, and no, it's not because of the COVID mic coughing thing. I've never been a fan of him.
No, that was still insane. I think it might just be because he's French too. I mean, French people are very easily to.
I like Evan Fournier, or however you say it.
Yeah.
Even though that dude like might hate America and like hate the NBA and like all the players, like it's just because he's so competitive. Like, and I respect the shit out of that.
No, he had
Rudy Gobert, on the other hand, I don't like Rudy.
Fournier had like a 50-point game against the Celtics on opening night like 3 years ago. It's one of the craziest games by a role player I've ever seen in my life. But yeah, I like him, and I guess Nicholas Batum's fine, and Frank Ntilikina is fine.
Same thing with Bogdanovic, that plays with Jokic in Serbia.
Yep.
Dude, he's just like Fournier. He seems like he might hate America and like all of the NBA and everybody, but he's just a competitor. That's why he's just out to be the best every night and win. And I respect that.
Yeah, no, it seems like every international basketball player, at least in that documentary that Netflix had, just hates American basketball.
Yeah.
You can't really blame them.
I can't blame them. That's what I'm trying to make that point. Like it's not like they want to kill us. They want to kill us on the court.
Yeah. No, and I think this last Olympics really helped these NBA playoffs because you're seeing so many players chirping. Like Anthony Edwards and LeBron were talking back and forth that whole game.
Well, Anthony Edwards started it. I mean, not that this is directly related to the Olympics, but Anthony Edwards started this game off by walking over to the Lakers while they're shooting in warmups, and he was chirping Luka the whole time. Luka had to walk over and like give him like a love tap shove, like, dude, get the fuck out of here. I gotta shoot.
It was so good. And then he dunks on Jackson Hayes. That was wild. It's like running down the court and going, I'm the man, I'm Ant-Man.
Yeah, that was I watched that play a couple times over. That was 1000% Luka's fault. Luka like overcommitted trying to get the steal, and then it would just absolute clear the landing path for Anthony Edwards. Just take off over on top of Hayes, dude. That was an awesome dunk.
No, yeah, we need this series to go 7 because you have Edwards, LeBron, you have Gobert and Luka, and then Austin Reeves, who we were talking about, was going at it with Naz Reid, like back and forth the whole game. So
I like both of those guys a lot. I don't know whose side I'm on here between Naz and AR.
Yeah, 2 SEC guys too. So this series has so many good storylines. I just hope we get some better games because it is 1-1, but it's kind of been 2 blowouts.
Yeah, they kind of have been, and both teams that didn't start hot they tried to claw back the whole time and never really got it there though. So no, I'm with you. I hope that they do get a little bit more competitive, a little more back and forth, like the amazing Clippers and Nuggets series, man.
Kawhi Leonard, is he a top? Where do you list him in like your all-time ranks for NBA? Because it's so hard.
That is such a hard question. You started saying that. I was really hoping you didn't ask me because I don't have an answer for you. He is like
it's hard. It's like when he's on the court, you can put him at like number 2 or 3 in the league.
Yeah, man. I mean, he's just so efficient and he does everything so well. I mean, he's always been known as a defender, the claw and all of that, but when he's getting his offensive game going, I mean, he looks as good right now as he did when he won the title with Toronto from an offensive standpoint. And then, if he's on the court, the defense is going to be there. If he can stay healthy, the Clippers could win the whole thing, but they could also get bounced in the first round by the, whatever, 6 times, 7 times should be like fifth time in a row MVP, Nikola Jokic.
Yeah, and Jamal Murray has looked good in this series too. James Harden has shown up in the playoffs, something we're not used to. I guess it's still early in the playoffs, so we got to wait till this series at least gets deep. But no, I think this one's definitely going. If not at 6, it's going to a game 7.
Yeah, and I think one of the more underrated things that I don't think anybody would have seen, maybe when the season started, definitely certainly not a couple years ago, but Harden on the Clippers and Westbrook on the Nuggets just going at it. Russell Westbrook, who is notoriously known for not being a good shooter or offensive player, or I should just say shooter. He hit 2 corner threes, one like right in Harden's face in this game. And that was probably my favorite moment of this game. And there were a lot of awesome moments in this game.
The Russell Westbrook experience is just so much fun to watch. And I think it was Big Cat on part of my take that said it. Like, if Russell Westbrook is on your team, you probably hate watching him on your team just because he does so many things. But like as a neutral fan, Russell Westbrook has to be one of the best players in the league just to watch. You never know.
So entertaining. Yeah, you never know what's going to happen. So entertaining. I mean, the only thing I don't like about his game is, well, actually, there's more than one thing I don't really like about his game. He does a lot of chaotic things, but it's entertaining. So I can understand that take. I'm with that take. He's definitely one of the most fun players to watch.
Yeah, and I hope if this might be the only series that goes deep, although the Knicks Pistons series might go deep too. But Knicks Pistons, I guess we could talk about it. It doesn't have the same flair, it seems, as the rest of these. And I don't know if it's because Karl Anthony Towns is so hateable and he's also just disappearing. And maybe the Pistons, like Cade Cunningham's a star, but he hasn't really arrived.
I'll tell you exactly why. It's because everybody who watches the NBA, who's following these playoffs, know that it does not matter who comes out of this series. They're not beating the next team they play. It's simple as that. The Knicks love them. They tried to do it. They brought in Mikal Bridges. They brought in Karl Anthony Towns. They tried to do it. Cade Cunningham, like you said, one of the best young players in this league, and love watching him play basketball. But neither of these guys have the teams to compete with the Celtics or the Cavs or whoever else comes out of the East and they have to play on the next round.
Yeah, Cade Cunningham's got to be the best player to ever come out of Oklahoma State, I think, unless I'm forgetting somebody. But Brunson can be that guy.
Justin Blackman.
Well, we're talking only NFL or only NBA.
Fun fact, he just got arrested recently.
That's not surprising to me at all.
All right, back to the NBA.
Yeah, I don't know. The Pistons are fun. Malik Beasley's and Tim Hardaway, like when they're shooting well, they can be fun. Oswald Thompson, when he's not fouling out of games, can be electric. But I don't know. I think Brunson has enough to get the Knicks out of this series. But with him too, like he doesn't seem like the player that can carry a team to the finals.
No, he doesn't seem like a player that can carry a team to a finals. Him paired up with Luka, and that's a whole other story. Like that could have been something that really worked for the Mavs back in the day. But no, it doesn't matter who wins this game or who wins this series. They're not advancing, and I think that's the answer to your question. It's just not as enticing for fans.
Yeah, no, that's a good.
The Pistons are still a big player away from actually being competitive. They need to bring in a big time free agent this next offseason. And then on the Knicks side, the experiment, you tried it with Cat and Mikal Bridges, whoever else you brought in, swapped around, but you lost your core in Hartenstein and DiVincenzo, and you're not the same team. Honestly, I think this experiment failed, and I think you should very quickly go back to the drawing board and move some pieces around. Maybe Detroit wants Cat.
That could be fun. Although I didn't mention Jalen Duran, but he's becoming a good player. He can't really shoot, but I like his game. But just to shout out the Pistons faithful a little bit here, because that was a little pessimistic of us. This was their first playoff win since 2008. Can you tell me what the biggest movie of 2008 was?
The biggest movie of 2008.
It's a pretty big one.
Can you give me a hint? Like there's a lot of movies that are released every year.
So, have you seen or seen anything about the new movie Sinners right now that's out?
Yeah, my brother just went to see it. He told me about it.
There is an element, or I guess a character in that movie that this movie in 2008 is about.
Get Out? No, that's too recent.
That was too recent. This started a big online debate between basically middle school girls if you were on one side or another
Twilight?
Side. Yep, Twilight.
Yeah, I remember that being a big thing in middle school for the girls. So thank you for the help there.
So it was, the biggest movie in 2008 was Twilight. The biggest song.
Sinners is based on Twilight?
It has a vampire in it. That's where I was trying to go. I was trying to give you a hint that wasn't too big of a hint.
Yeah, no, that didn't really help. It's all good.
But Just Dance was the biggest song by Lady Gaga. And Instagram wasn't even out yet in 2008. So NBA players couldn't even DM Instagram models yet.
Wow.
That's how long it's been.
Shout out Gaga.
Shout out Gaga and shout out Cade in Detroit. Maybe you'll win the series and make something happen. But
you know what else happened in 08?
Stock market crashed.
Yeah.
Let's hope that doesn't happen again.
The U.S. housing crisis. Never mind. All right. Are there any other games that we did not get to cover yet?
I don't think so, because the Heat and the Cavs play as we're recording this tonight. The Warriors and the Rockets play later tonight as we're recording this. I think that's all the big series.
And I think we know who wins those series. So, time to move on to some NHL playoff talk.
Do we have to?
How about them Florida Panthers? Matthew Chuck back, 2 goals, 3 points in his first game back. Ooh. I think you and Matt should be scared.
Clip that sound you just made.
I think you and Matt should be scared that I'm going to take the hockey crown home with me 2 years straight.
All right, it is one game. I was a little bit rattled about the first game, but it's a long series. I still have faith in my Lightning. Don't know why. I do know why I took the Lightning, just out of spite, but I kind of wish I would have taken somebody else.
Yeah, not really working out for you right now.
No, it is working out for my, I guess I could call them my Caps. They're more Rose's Caps that are kind of my Caps now by the fact we're just family. But they got a big win. Ovi with his first ever game-winning goal in the playoffs. Game-winning overtime goal, but every overtime goal is game-winning.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a big deal. No, dude, Ovi's still kicking, still doing it, putting up goals. What was the record he just broke? 800? 900?
892, I believe, was Gretzky's number.
So he's damn near 900 goals now.
He's going to have a chance to get to 1,000. He's going to have to stay healthy. But if he can play like 4 more years, he can maybe get to 1,000.
I think we're looking at 2 maximum.
Yeah. I don't know if we'll get 2.
Hockey's a tough season. Hockey's a tough sport to play, a lot of games throughout a season. And I feel like this year we saw him sort of take I would have to look at like the minute stats, but I feel like we saw him take like a dip in minutes and ice time. And I would think that trend only continues until it's just like, look, we love you, but you're just getting outskated now.
Yeah.
There's gonna there's as much as it's like sinister to say and it sucks to say, there's gonna come a time where he's just gonna get outskated. It's just true.
Yeah, no, he'll definitely get outskated. And I think he's 39 now. I want to have faith in him. I want to have faith in him more because the Canadians have been so annoying about him breaking Gretzky's record. I want to see him get 1,000. I don't think it'll happen, but at least for this playoffs, he could get a second Stanley Cup, and that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, he could. It's going to be the Panthers going back to back.
Possibly. I hope not. But the only other thing that I had on the NHL playoffs, again, Matt's not here, so we can kick him while he's not here, is St. Louis Blues pick, who we did preface by saying they're not that good, but they've been hot. They're down 2-0 to the Jets. The good news for him, if there's one team that you're rooting to blow a lead, you probably want to root against any team called the Jets.
I like what you did there. And that wraps up hockey for us. Let's talk about football, speaking about the real Jets.
Yeah, the real Jets, the real Giants. Probably just annoyed some San Francisco folks there. But Jaguars and the Eagles, we got the draft today. You'll get a twofer today. You get to watch us on the podcast in the morning. And then we have a live stream tonight starting around 7:50. Draft starts at 8. We'll react to the Giants pick, the Jags pick. Hopefully Colin will be on for the Bears pick. Will and Matt, of course, the Eagles pick. Maybe we'll get Matt, probably not. But right now, we're going to preview and sprinkle some hopeful wishing dust on who our teams will pick in the draft. And I'm up first here. The New York Giants select number 3. There are rumors they may trade out of the pick. I think that's all smoke and mirrors. I hope that's all smoke and mirrors. I wrote on my whiteboard today Max Kranick because he had a big win. I think he got credited with the win against the Phillies. I almost put anybody but Shedeur. And that's kind of my mindset heading into tonight's draft. Same kind of way it was with anybody but J.J. McCarthy last year. According to the betting markets, it seems like Shedeur Sanders might slip out of the first round. So I think I'm okay with him not being a New York Giant. I want Abdul Carter. I really want Abdul Carter, and I think I'm going to get Abdul Carter. It looks like the Browns are leaning Travis Hunter. And that's also who Nick, our guy, our blogger over at Section 400 wrote about. If you want to see his draft wish list, it's on the website, viewsfromsection400.com. I want Abdul Carter at 3.
Okay, I understand that. And I think you're going to have that. It's becoming increasingly clear that the Titans are not moving from the number 1 overall pick. They're going to select Cam Ward. It's becoming very clear that the Browns are looking for a very, high, they have the number 2 overall pick. They want a very high prospect. There's pretty much 2 high prospects. It's Travis Hunter and Abdul Carter. They're sort of in a league of their own right now. They need help on the offensive side more than the defensive side. They've made that very clear. I think Travis Hunter is a slam dunk at number 2 for the Browns. And I think you're going to be happy with Abdul Carter at number 3.
Yeah, no, I just really hope they don't mess it up. And it's the New York Giants, so you can always count on them to mess it up. But I'm going to assume they don't. So then it's more, okay, we get to rounds 2, 3, 4, and 5. And they really need to hit on these because this is where you make your football team better and you make it deeper. Just quick going over Nick's wish list picks here. He said in round 2, he wants Tyler Booker, offensive lineman from Alabama. In round 3, he's hoping for Jackson Dart. And then in round 4 and 5, he wants Kobe Bryant, a cornerback from Kansas. I'm kind of thinking along the same lines as him, except I have some different prospects I'm hoping we get. I'm not a fan of Jackson Dart. I know he can be good, but just watching him play against Auburn and in the SEC, I don't know if you feel any different about him, but I'm just not. I don't think he's an NFL quarterback.
Yeah, for what it's worth, I do think that he was a good quarterback in college. I did like his game at Ole Miss. I do think that he's one of the best quarterbacks in this draft, but I don't think that a lot of the quarterbacks in this draft are all that good. And quite honestly, I don't think he's an NFL quarterback. Could he be developed in the right system, given enough time to actually be that guy? I actually do think that there's a case for that, but the Giants are going to have him starting by week 10 or even to start next season after a failed experiment with like Russell Wilson and Jameis Winston. Like that could be your move next year, Jackson Dart, and I don't think that that's enough time for him to really get it going. But
no, I agree. There is a quarterback.
There's worse options though.
There are worse options, and there is a quarterback I do want in this draft, but like you said, they're all kind of bad. So it's more of just to take a shot on a guy. And I'll get to him. But with my second round pick, Nick said Tyler Booker. I want this guy, Gray Zabel. Okay. He's an offensive guard from South Dakota State. Played in the FCS. We know how much our guy Matt Fest, who we had on during Bowl Miss, loves FCS football. And South Dakota State was very good in FCS football. Seems like every successful team in the NFL has a guard that grew up on a farm and he's just a bowling ball. And that's what this kid is.
Yeah. No, that's the best offensive linemen are corn-fed boys raised in Wisconsin or whatever. I mean, I feel like that's just the recipe for a good offensive lineman. But I don't blame you. You guys have a lot of holes to fill. I mean, I wasn't really prepared to start talking, who I want with the 50th and 107th overall picks. It's just at that point you're hoping, right? You're hoping for whoever's there. Other teams are important. They're going to be making trades to move up, move down. I go for it though. Give me your wish list.
Yeah, no, I'm giving you the complete one because as much as I love to rip on the Jaguars, they do need a little less than the New York Giants need. So I'm really just hoping we make our team a lot better in this draft. And one of those ways is getting a cornerback. And my guy I want is Noel Williams from California. He picked off Peyton Thorne twice in their game against Auburn. He had 7 interceptions this season. And out of the 15 players in the NFL from Cal, 6 of them are DBs. So they are a little bit of a DBU light. So give me Noel Williams.
Okay. I can see your logic there.
And then my quarterback I want is Dylan Gabriel. In the quarterback draft class that is not very good, Dylan Gabriel consistently put up numbers in college. He's also small. Russell Wilson had success in the NFL as a small quarterback. Maybe there's a little bit mentorship there. I don't know if Russ is exactly the mentorship kind of quarterback guy. Jameis seems like that. I don't know. Dylan Gabriel, give him a shot. When you have so many quarterbacks that are lackluster in terms of their prospect status, I want the one that consistently put up 30 touchdowns and 3,500 yards during college.
If you can spend a 5th-round pick or later on him, then yeah, I don't hate it.
It's worth a shot, right?
Worth a shot.
Who knows?
I mean,
maybe.
you guys are going to need to take a quarterback in this draft class. I don't know who it's going to be, whether it's Dylan Gabriel or you guys, move up, 2nd-round pick. If you think Shedeur Sanders is going to fall to the 2nd round, you guys have the 1st overall, 2nd overall pick in the 2nd round. So
I don't know. I'd still be pretty upset if they got Shedeur instead of my guy Gray. I really want Gray. I arguably want Gray more than Abdul Carter.
Wow. Okay. But no, you said something just a little bit ago about how the Giants are, in a little bit of a worse position than the Jags, need more players. You're absolutely right about that. But the Jags are in the same position. The Jags need as many good players as they can. We're not in a great position yet. Same thing with the Browns. And that's one thing I didn't touch on just a bit earlier when we were talking about the 1st-round pick. I think the only thing that screws up Abdul Carter going at 3 to you guys is if the Browns trade out of 2 and somebody else wants to move up and take Abdul Carter at 2. I mean, I think you guys would still be happy taking Travis Hunter at 3, but that would be the only thing that screws that up. And the Browns are in a position to trade down if it meant the right sort of compensation.
Yeah, that does scare me a bit.
They need a lot.
I would be fine with Travis Hunter. I'd be okay with that, especially with him as a cornerback because the Giants DBs have been so bad for so long. But Carter is just he might be the best player in this draft. I've been talking about Cam Ward being great for forever, but Abdul Carter might just be the best player.
Yeah, I'm thinking Abdul Carter is going to be the best player in this draft. It's going to be him. Will Campbell, I'm pretty high on. I'm not going to lie. I've been coming around on him. Tackle out of LSU. I think it's going to be those 2 as the top 2 guys.
Well, then are you hoping you get Will Campbell at number 5? Might as well go right into your Jaguars.
You want to talk about my Jaguars? I've been seeing a lot of things lately, Brian. It's getting me a little nervous. I haven't been nervous this whole time. I've wanted Mason Graham every single mock draft I've done. I took Mason Graham every single mock draft I've seen Jaguars fans do. We've been taking Mason Graham. It's been a pretty clear-cut pick, and now it's not anymore. There's a lot of rumblings about how Liam Cohen, offensive-minded head coach, wants to take an offensive player here, wants to help out Trevor, which, again, goes back to what I was just talking about. There's a lot of things that the Jaguars need right now. We had one of the worst defenses in the league last year. We need an interior defensive lineman. We need a cornerback. We need a new safety. Andre Sisco left for the Jets. So we have a lot of key positions that we need to fill on defense. But it seems like we're going to be taking an offensive player at 5, which is scaring me.
And Ashton Genty is now minus 110 to be the 5 pick.
Yeah, so, quickly on Genty, it seems like he's going to be the pick as of right now, which I'm not mad about. Like, look, I want to make this clear. Whatever we do with 5, I will be happy with. Also, let me say that. Unless we give up the 5 pick in a trade that isn't the right sort of compensation, and I'm not happy with that, then I'm going to be pissed. But if we were picking between, just in case for shits and gigs, Hunter or Carter, Genty, even like Tyler Warren, quite honestly, like any of these guys, whoever our coaching staff thinks is the best player for our team, I'm going to trust it, because there are a lot of top tier players there that, there's not a whole lot of discrepancy for me. After Abdul Carter and Travis Hunter, there's not a whole lot of discrepancy. Mason Graham, I think he would be an awesome fit for us. He seems like an elite player at a position of need for us. So I'm cool with that. The only reason I want him more than Genty is because we have 2 running backs. But if the current coaches that we just got, if they're not believing in ETN or want to move on from his contract, he's coming up on a contract year, or, they don't believe in Tank Bigsby, if they want, the rookie running back for whatever reason, the nice new fresh toy, Liam Cohen just turned Bucky Irving into a sensation last year. Imagine what he could do with Ashton Genty. I could see that happening and working out really well for us, especially opening up a play action game for Trevor. I think that's where we're going to go.
Yeah, I will say, if you do land Ashton Genty, we may be sitting here next year, and this podcast might have the 3 best running backs in the league.
Who do the Giants have?
No Tyrone Tracy love?
Oh, stop it.
He was great last year.
No, you're serious right now.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you were talking about like they were going to make some blockbuster deal for like Derrick Henry or something. No, Tyrone Tracy is never entering this conversation with Ashton Genty and Saquon Barkley.
He had 1,000 yards last year.
And this is me without even having Genty on the team. Like, he's not even a Jaguar yet, and I'm already defending him. Like, he is light years ahead of Tyrone Tracy, period.
Yeah, I want to be clear. In this listing, it'd be Saquon 1, Genty 2, and then Tracy 3. But it'd be top 3. Let me have some hope.
Top 3 out of 3.
NFL
top
draft
3
day
out of 3.
NFL draft day is the season of hope. Let me have some hope.
No, that's actually not true. NFL draft day is the season of clarity. You finally see the direction your team's going. You fill in some of those last slots with these draft picks. And yes, there's free agency afterwards where a couple more signings will happen, maybe even a couple of trades. But, this gives you clarity with where your team's going. Like, I either know I know after tonight, my running backs for next year, it's Genty or it's ETN and Bigsby. I know our D line is Eric Armstead, our 2 beasts on the ends, and a hole, or Mason Graham, and it's a surefire line. It provides clarity.
Okay, maybe I should have rephrased that. The night before the NFL draft is the season of hope. Who knows? Maybe the Titans pick Shedeur Sanders with the first pick, and then the Browns pick Travis Hunter, and the Giants are left with Cam Ward. I can hope. Okay.
That would be so unbelievable. And then what do the Patriots do? Take Abdul Carter at 4, or do they still stick with offensive tackle and take Will Campbell?
And then the Jaguars are stuck here. This is how we talk ourselves into hope. Then you get Abdul Carter. Look at this. All we need to do is the Titans draft Shedeur Sanders.
See, it's just it's crazy how these things can go. But yeah, the last thing I want to say on the Jaguars first overall pick, and another reason why I didn't get into some of the later rounds is because there's just so much uncertainty. Yes, but also this fifth overall pick is a pretty big pick. It's going to depend. It's going to pave the way for a lot of things. A lot of people have Genty as a surefire pick at 6 to the Raiders. Well, what if the Jags take him? Who do they go with there? Do they take Tyler Warren? That screws up. That takes. Or no, I'm sorry. They have Bowers. That wouldn't make any sense.
I mean, the Patriots had Gronk and Aaron Hernandez, and that worked out pretty well until Aaron Hernandez.
Yeah, that's true. But that screws up. What if the Saints were going to take him at 9? Now they are taking someone else. So it always gets crazy. But the last thing I want to say on the Jags' first overall pick, there's been a lot of talk about a potential trade. Have you seen anything about this, Brian?
I haven't seen any specifics, but I have seen they're thinking about trading it.
Well, specifically, I've seen some rumblings about it's going to be with the Denver Broncos, who we all know are very interested in Ashton Genty, very interested in getting a premier running back to help out Bo Nix and that offense. Sean Payton wants his next Reggie Bush. They also, the Jags at 5 happen to be right in front of the Broncos' division rivals, the Raiders. And as incompetent as those two teams have been for a little while now, still a rivalry in that division. So the Broncos would love to stick it to the Raiders. That's what gives this a little bit of legs for me. But the trade apparently would be
send them back to Jacksonville?
Stop it. It's just picks, man. It would be the 5. We would trade back. This is, I'm speaking to Jaguars fans now. We're getting rid of the 5. And I think we're swapping first round picks and third round picks. And then we're also getting their first and second next year. And maybe second this year.
Okay. Which
is a lot. And that is something I would be.
That would be a haul.
Like first, second, and two second round picks and a first round pick next year. That's good enough for me. Just for the first and third round swaps. I mean, I'd be cool with that.
Yeah, no. And what the Broncos pick 19, 20?
20.
Okay. You could
still I did a really poor job explaining that trade with the picks and everything, but it would be good. It would be a good thing for Jaguars fans. For any Jaguars fans listening, it'd be a good thing for us.
Yeah, I mean, if the pick is Genty and you have the 2 running backs and you think the draft capital is worth more than upgrading from ETN or Tank Bigsby to Genty, definitely.
Well, that's the thing, Brian, is like, as much as I want to get all in for this season, I know that we're at least 2 draft classes away from having a full and complete good football team, which is tough because Trevor Lawrence is already here. He's already on the contract. We don't want to waste any time, but the window's not really open yet is my point. So we need as many high value picks as we can get because we're either going to use them to get really high value picks or we're going to trade them for really high value players and really bolster this team sooner rather than later. But the window's not open yet.
No, that's fair. All right. Well, so it seems like you are open to trading. We know our guy Matt has been preaching for the last 3 weeks that he doesn't expect the Eagles to make a trade or doesn't expect the Eagles to pick a player and expect him to trade. Well, now we get to hear from our editor, Will, see what he thinks about the Eagles draft.
Yeah, so I'm somewhat in the same boat as Colin, obviously. I think there's a big chance that we do move down on the draft. It's just so how he has to move up or down on the draft. I do think there are a bunch of guys. It depends on the board because there are a bunch of. It's weird in this draft. There's a bunch of really good edges in this draft, but a lot of them Mike Green, James Pierce are kind of character concerns, I guess, and they've kind of their stock's been all over the place. If Mike Green falls to 32, I would absolutely, or James Pierce, if one of those 2 guys falls to 32, I would love either or of them. And then even I don't think he'll go this far. Michael Williams is also pretty good edge. I cannot pronounce this guy's last name for the life of me. Donovan, we'll call him Donovan E. from Boston College. I can't. Ezra Uwaku.
Those always seem to be the best edge rushers, though.
Yes,
Guys
they
you
do.
can't pronounce.
Yeah, I mean, he looks electric from Boston College. It's very weird. There's so many players this year where they're in like schools you would never expect for like a top pick to go to, like Boston College, Marshall. Another guy I was gonna bring up because obviously corner is a big need for us is he didn't play much last year. Siobhan Revelle from East Carolina. He was electric the last 2 years in East Carolina, and then he got hurt and then didn't play. He only played like 3 or 4 games, but he
Yeah, a
was
lot of
amazing.
Commanders fans have been talking about him as they want him in like the 3rd round.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think he'll go that. I mean, he could go that far. I'm not sure his injury history. But if we're being realistic, I feel like if I'm being the most realistic and I'm sitting here and it's like guaranteed players that I love on the board for the Eagles, Trey Amos, the corner out of Ole Miss, he kind of just like gives me that Quinyon Mitchell 2.0 vibes, like big frame, played really well for Ole Miss, and then tested really well at the combine. And then if not Trey Amos, the guy from Boston College, like I said, I think he might be there at 32. I don't know. It's so weird. These edges, I have absolutely no clue where they're gonna go. There's only one edge I know where it's gonna go, and that's Abdul Carter.
Yeah, and that's the thing is, that's the same sentiment people are having about the quarterbacks. There's a bunch of people that think Cam Ward is going to be the only quarterback taken in the first round. I think Shadur's and Jackson Dart, Shaw, they're all going to be 2nd round, 3rd round guys. There are other people that are thinking, they could all go in the 1st round. I feel like it really depends on what the teams grab up ahead. And, if they're grabbing edge rushers and that market is dwindling down quicker than everyone expected, then I would expect you guys to, not have a chance at, our boy E over there from Boston College. But I'll say this about the Eagles draft. They have a lot of picks over the next few seasons. I know that. We all know how aggressive Howie is. This is, it's just priming up for a random, pick 15, pick 18, maybe 20. We're just going to see at the most unexpected time, the pick is traded to the Eagles, and everyone's going to be like, oh, shit, what's Howie got cooking up right now? I can guarantee you that is going to happen in the 1st round. The Eagles are going to be trading up, and it's going to be, one of the headlines of the 1st round.
Yeah, I think there's definitely a few players that I think they have on their board that's going to be like, if they're sitting there and it's like 25 or 26, or like, yeah, we got to go up and get this guy. And it's got to be either an edge, a corner, or a safety. And most likely it would be a safety or an edge. There are good safeties in this draft. It's just, again, safety is also a weird position where I feel like every year in safeties, you'll see like mocks of them going like 15, 20, 25. And then every year we get to the draft and we'll be like the 2nd round. And we're like, wow, that guy what's his name on Detroit? He went in the 2nd round to Detroit. Brian Branch. He was a guy that I swear I feel like everyone thought he was going to go inside like the top 20 to 25 range. And that guy was still on the board at like 40. And like, because South Carolina guy, Nick Imanowari, the safety, and then Malachi Starks are 2 guys that are kind of floating around the 1st round. They could fall into the 2nd, but they're 2 guys I would absolutely love.
Yeah, this Donovan kid cannot go to the Eagles. He's from New Jersey. He'd be a stud. I think it's Iziraku.
Iziraku? Yeah.
It sounds right.
I could see it. He could also be one of those guys where it's a trade-up spot.
Yeah, no, that just doesn't seem. He wears number 6 too. So, he's quick. He's got the single digit on the edge. Oh God, don't need that in my life.
Isn't that Devonta Smith's number?
Yeah.
Well, he'd have to switch, but he'd get a single digit. If he's wearing a single digit in college, he wants a single digit in the NFL.
We'll get rid of,
that can mess with a player, mess with their juju.
He could switch to number 40, go E40.
But I think it's either edge, corner, or safety.
Makes sense. Yeah, I mean, you guys literally just won the Super Bowl. Obviously, you have some holes to fill after guys leave and go get bigger contracts elsewhere. But you guys are in win now mode, obviously. So again, I think you guys will be using some of that lower draft capital to trade up in this draft in the first round to select the guy that you want, that you know is going to help you go win another one this year.
I think if they don't trade up in the first, they're going to definitely trade up in the second, because I don't know what it is. This draft, for some reason, I feel like there's so many guys, really good guys, in like the second, third, fourth rounds this year. Don't get me wrong, there's still people really good. There's still really good players in the first round, but it just, I don't know, for like, if we compare this year from last year, I feel like it's like a big drop off. Like, I feel like it's not, I mean, it might just be because this is more of a defensive draft, and last year was such an offensive draft, and all the really good defenders kind of went later, like end of first into the second round. So that's why it's like feels so off this year. But I don't know. I feel like there's so many good players in the second and third round that you can still grab. And I think with all the picks they have in the next 2 years, they're going to have some trade up at some big trade up at some point.
Yeah, well, here's a question for you. I have to bring up the baseball series that just happened.
Oh, fuck you.
And it seems like the Eagles need defense, and you want them to draft defense. So higher amount of rounds it takes the Eagles to draft an offensive player, or amount of days it takes for the Phillies to DFA JoJo Romano.
Oh, dude, like I already haven't brought that up like a week ago about DFAing him against the Marlins when he gave up 5 earned runs and nearly blew a 6-run lead in the ninth. I would say, because they're not going to get rid of him. It's like Taijuan Walker's situation from last year. They're like, oh, well, he's kind of, I don't know what his contract is, but they just didn't get rid of him. They didn't DFA him because of his damn contract. No, they could draft, they could draft a lineman in the second round. They kind of still have a need at guard. Lane Johnson's eventually going to need a replacement soon, even though I think Lane's just signed a new contract. So I could see them maybe draft a guard in the second or third. So I would say we'll probably get an offensive player. And who knows? We could go running back too. I wouldn't be shocked if they like wanted to get another running back, because obviously they lost Kenny G. And maybe not that early. Maybe in the third. But I could see
if you want to draft
Kenny G.
If you want to draft a running back in the late rounds, it seems like this is the year to do it.
There's a lot of really good running backs in this class.
So many.
Jarquez Hunter and I know he's Auburn, so I'm biased at least, but he just led the SEC in rushing, and he's a projected 5th-round pick.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so many. Like Caleb Johnson, guy I loved out of Iowa, was absolutely amazing for them in Iowa. Third, maybe late second, early third round guy. But
yeah, it'll be interesting for sure, and definitely everybody tune in to our live show. It'll be on YouTube and Twitter, or X, the Everything app. But it will be our live stream debut on that, so definitely tune in there. It'll be fun. We'll be reacting to all the picks. We'll see how long we last. I know last year the draft first round went until like midnight. I don't know if we're going to last until midnight again. But the Eagles do pick last, so we'll see what happens.
You're kind of screwed on that, unfortunately.
We'll see what happens. I mean, good news for us, as far as, the greater views from Section 400 team. Brian's got it the 3rd overall pick. Nick S has the 4th overall pick with the Patriots. I've got the 5th. Colin, he's got the 10th with the Bears. So, and they're apparently looking to trade up even. So we've got a lot of our guys with, not great football teams and very high draft picks. So the beginning of the show will be hot and heavy.
Yeah, and I figure we don't have to predict the whole first round here, but just quickly, so we can make ourselves look like fools during that live show, let's try to predict the top 10 picks, 1 through 10.
Yeah. I think
Hunter, Carter, Campbell, Genty, and then it gets interesting for me. Who the Raiders take after Genty goes at 5.
Well, you gotta go all 10 here. We gotta see whose list ended up being the best.
Do you think Genty's? I maybe I wasn't paying attention a little bit earlier, but you think Genty has a chance of going 5?
I really do. I keep hearing rumblings that we're going to be making this trade with the Broncos. So if they're making a trade with us at 5, they're going to be taking him there. That's why they would make the trade. Even if they don't, we still might. I laid it out earlier, but Alternatively, we could get Mason Graham, which I would be happy about. But yeah, no, if I'm going to put money on it, I would say Genty goes 5. 6, I don't know who the Raiders take. 7, somebody on the offensive side, though. They need an offensive tackle, don't they? They take that.
Yeah, what's his name? Just retired.
So they'll take that guy, the number 2 prospect out of Mizzou, right?
Yeah, you're talking about.
He had a really crazy last.
He's another one of those
Membo.
guys. Yeah.
Membo, exactly.
Membo. That's a great offensive lineman name.
So I could see him going at 7. At 6. At 7, I think the Jets would take Mason Graham. I don't think they would let him get past that, especially with Aaron Glenn at the helm now. All right. So at 8, the Panthers pick. They have so many holes to fill. I can see them going offensive tackle, but I think the best player and a need for them as well is an edge rusher after dealing Brian Branch to your football Giants. So I can see them
get his name right.
Don't
disrespect my GOAT. You said Brian Branch. You had him in your head after we.
I got Brian Branch in my head. Brian Burns. Yes,
Brian.
Spider-Man. Excuse me. How could I forget? He always wears that mask. But I think that they'll go with Jalen Walker because he's one of the best pass rushers in this class. Georgia guy. Kirby Smart coached him up well. We've seen them work out very well in this league recently. So I can see the Panthers going there. Best pick on a team that needs a lot. And then 9 is the Saints. They need offensive help. They need defensive help. I feel like they need both. I don't think they're going to take Shedeur at 9. I know a lot of people are expecting them to take a quarterback there. I just don't think they're going to need to take, if they're that locked in on Shedeur, then yes, they will. But I don't think they really are. I think they'd be fine taking, a second-round quarterback, whether it's Jackson Dart or whoever it is, Shaw. I don't expect Shedeur to go. I expect an offensive weapon like Warren to go. Tyler Warren out of Penn State, the tight end. They just need something other than Chris Olave to make that offense work. And 10 is who's got the 10th pick?
Chicago.
Oh, the Bears. Excuse me. Well, apparently they're trying to trade up in the draft. So I don't know if that's with us or with somebody else, but they want to trade up. I think they want Genty too. They're obviously not going to get him at 10. I don't even know. I don't know who the Bears would take at 10. Maybe another offensive lineman, sure, things up for Caleb, but they're not going to take a second run. They're not going to take a running back that's not named Ashton Genty at 10. They don't need a wide receiver. They just shored up their offensive line.
You got to say somebody. Got to say a name.
The best player available, man. I think look, there's so many rumblings that they want to trade up. I think they will be able to. But if they can't, I expect them to trade down and not take anybody with that 10th pick. If they really have to sit there.
I could put trade down on the graphic for you if you want to cop out here.
Well, I want.
You can't. He just told you to put a name down, then you're like, I'll just put that name down for you.
All right, I am stalling. Look, I really don't have an answer for you at 10 there. They're just going to grab best available at that point.
Okay, fine. I'll run through mine real quick, and this is purely optimism. With the first overall pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Tennessee Titans shock the world and select Travis Hunter to pair with Will Levis and make Will Levis their franchise quarterback.
Real quick, I'm just saying, if that does happen, that makes the comments that Cam Ward said the other day on his stream, like calling like the top 4 or top 5 receivers, top 5 running backs. That would be hilarious.
That'd be unreal.
Oh,
at number 2, the Cleveland Browns get rattled. Trade out of the pick. The New England Patriots move up to number 2. Browns back to number 4. And the Patriots get Abdul Carter because they're now in win now mode with Drake May at the helm. Then at number 3, the New York Giants get their franchise quarterback from Miami, Mr. Cameron Ward.
This is not happening.
Are you
At
shocked about this? It's basically just like the anti-Eagle parlay, but it's the anti-draft parlay, I guess.
At number
Anti-draft
4,
mock.
Pop off, Brian.
at number 4, the Browns. They need to rebuild everything. You to be a good football team, you got to start in the trenches. So they go with Will Campbell. Number 5, Jaguars keep the pick. Travis Etienne sucks, so they're like, all right, let's make Ashton Genty the next Bucky Irving, but better. They go Ashton Genty. At number 6, the Raiders create the old Bill Belichick Patriots. Grab Tyler Warren to team up with Brock Bowers. Give a little 1-2 punch there. 22 formations.
That'd be 3 tight ends in the top 2 rounds in the last 3 years. Michael Mayer, right? 3 years ago or 2 years ago. Bowers and no, okay.
At number 7, the Jets. Aaron Glenn gets his guy, goes with Mason Graham. Good, hardworking player, sneaky athletic, football IQ. Panthers go with Shamar Stewart. He sounds like a Panthers pick. Get him on the line next to Derek Brown. At number 9, Armand Membao sounds like a perfect fit down in the Bayou with the Saints. He goes number 9. And at number 10, the Chicago Bears go with Will Johnson, cornerback, Michigan.
Well, I mean, the second half wasn't bad, but the first half was just nonsense.
I'm not gonna lie. I like that the Will Howard. Oh my god, dude! I'm calling everybody Will Howard.
Will Howard,
today.
Brian Branch.
I'm calling everybody Will Howard.
Will
today.
Johnson.
Will Johnson. I do like that pick. Now that you say that, Michigan guy, going right there to Chicago. That does make sense. And as you said, they need a corner, so that does make perfect sense to me. I also, who did you say with the 7th? Who's going to the Panthers? Do you say
Shamar Stewart?
Yeah, you don't think they need an offensive lineman?
No, they probably do, but they're the Panthers.
Yeah, I don't know what I just said like literally 2 minutes ago, but I think they're going to go with an offensive lineman if I didn't already say that.
I think that was one you were on the fence about. I kind of forget too.
So that's the only pick you're going to dissect out of what I said?
Brian, the beginning was
we
lunacy.
just didn't listen to the top 5. That was kind of what it was.
The top 4 was lunacy.
Yeah.
Genty's a legitimate threat to go to the Jags. That's like a threat. That's a legitimate, possibility, outcome. 6 was lunacy. They're not taking another tight end. 7, Mason Graham to the Jets makes total sense. That's what I had, so fair enough. And then 8 through 10 was good, but 1 through 4 and 6, there's nobody to talk about those. I mean, phenomenal takes, but wake up.
All right, Will, let's get your top 10.
All right. Okay, mine's gonna be more sane, unlike Brian's. I'm not gonna. I mean, I know there's probably gonna be a few trades. I don't think Cleveland could move down. I have no clue. Titans, they go Cam Ward. That's like set in stone. I still think the Browns are the wild card in this draft, and anything. I truly think they could take. I think they're going to take Hunter, but I would not be surprised if they still went Shador at 2 or Abdul Carter at 2. I think it is possible for them, but I'm going to say Travis Hunter goes 2 to the Cleveland Browns. Giants, I think they're kind of just locked in with Abdul Carter, which I can't really stand, but I think they go Abdul Carter. Patriots, if they don't draft a tackle, unless I mean, even if Hunter's on the board, Patriots, they could use another receiver. Obviously, they got Diggs, but they gotta draft. They gotta draft Will Campbell. That makes the most sense for them to draft at 4. Jags, they need defensive help. I know Jack saying Genty, and Brian said, who was a nonsense pick you said for the Jags?
No, he said Genty too.
Oh, you both said Genty. I can't see the Jags going Genty at 5. I think that's a little crazy. So I think they go Mason Graham. It's the second best defensive player in this draft. It makes too much sense. They need defensive line help.
I hope so.
The Raiders, they go with the Raiders pick and pick Ashton Genty at 7 or at 6. It screams Raiders. It just screams Raiders to go pick a running back in the top 10. The Jets go out and get the boy. Armand Memboy. The Memboy.
We're gonna have to get this guy on the show.
Yeah, I know.
Somehow.
Panthers, I have them going out. I think they go take a corner. I think they take the first corner off the draft. They go and get. I think they go out and they get the best. I think, in my opinion, I think he's the best cornerback. Jedi Barron from Texas. I like Will John. I like Will. It could be Will Johnson too, but I don't know why. For some reason, I feel like his stock's falling in drafts. I'm not sure why, and I hate it because I think he is going to be really good.
And his name's Will.
Yeah. There's a lot of Wills in this draft. Now that I think
There
about
are. Yeah, a lot in the top 10.
it.
Will Howard. Don't forget about Will Howard.
Saints. I think everyone's overreacting a little bit. Not overreacting a little bit. I don't really think he's that great, but like all the news with Derek Carr just makes too much sense for the Saints to go out and get Shador at 9. And they need a quarterback. Like there was a stat that just came out saying, oh, I forget who tweeted it. It was someone saying that like the Saints haven't drafted a quarterback in the first 2 rounds of a draft since like 2005 or something crazy.
Yeah.
I don't remember because they had Drew Brees for so long. So I think Shador goes 9.
Yeah, but I think Drew Brees was a second-round pick.
No, Drew Brees was traded. They didn't actually draft him.
Oh.
So I think he was a first-round pick, but he technically didn't get drafted by.
No, never mind.
It's a Charger.
Yeah,
San
he was a Charger.
Diego Superchargers.
And then number 10 for Chicago Bears, they need to go edge. I think they go out and I think they get Michael Williams from Georgia.
Fuck 'em.
And yeah, that would be my top 10.
All right. I'll have to make the graphic and then people can decide whose top 10 they like the most. Something tells me it's not going to be mine.
I think I'm going to make a full mock draft before right before the live show.
Yeah, definitely. That'd be sick.
And break that down and see how wrong I get.
But yeah, we went a little long here. I was going to do winners and losers, Jack, but we might have to save it for Sunday.
Oh no.
Yeah, I was going to say, you seem pretty content with that decision.
I mean, it's cool. It's all good.
I know you got a quick kickball game to get to.
Super excited to talk NFL draft. Right now I'm super excited to get into it tonight as everyone's listening to this. Hopefully you guys are taking this in Thursday morning before the draft, getting super excited. We'll be on the live show. Go Jags.
Cam Ward to New York. Tune into the live show, 7:50 Eastern. Let's go, Mets.
Fuck Rob Thompson.